everyone, I'm Farm Assistant Jenny here in Barneveld, Wisconsin at Botham Vineyards for the Thank a Farmer campaign brought to you by Rural Mutual Insurance and Batzner Pest Control. Right now I'm joined by the president and winemaker for Botham Vineyards, Peter Botham. So Peter, can you give a little bit of history on how this vineyard got started?
Well, originally I planted, curiously enough, the first acre right behind us here back in 1989 and expanded the plantings from that up to about 1992. And then in 93 we harvested our first crop that we were going to make wine from. And in 94 we actually opened the barn there, which serves as our tasting room for sales. So that's the kind of quick chronology there. Yeah. And we've been going ever since.
Now, when most people think of wine, they don't automatically think of Wisconsin. They think of California or other places. So how can we really grow good grapes here in Wisconsin?
Well, it's difficult, to be honest, and there are certain varieties that you have to grow to work within the parameters of our climate. And for us, that means only red fruit. We don't bother to even try and grow white fruit. I tried for years, and I was never happy with the end result. I could keep them alive from season to season, but the big issue, of course, here is that our growing season is very, very short, and most white fruit needs a longer growing season than what we have. So the end result was that I was always harvesting fruit that wasn't ripe, and you can't make good wine from unripe fruit. So we stick with only red fruit now, and have for many, many years, and that seems to suit our needs pretty well. The white fruit that we do need, because we obviously make a lot of white wine, we buy from other growers elsewhere in other parts of the United States, and we truck it in here and make the wine from it. So,
Talking a little bit about the growing season, how long of a growing season do we have here in Wisconsin? And when do we start picking them, and how long does it take to make that wine?
okay, well, not long enough would be the quick answer there. Usually it varies a lot. As you know, spring can be really kind of crazy here, like it has been this year. It's very late this year. It didn't warm up till really this just past week. So typically we're experiencing bud break right about now, but the vineyard is not anywhere near bud break right now. It's probably another week or two out, even if it stays warm like this. So we've already had kind of a little bit of a shortened start to the growing season, but sometimes you can make up that ground later on, particularly in August and in September, when it can be really nice and warm and dry and what have you. Typically we harvest in September, and when in September again depends on how nice a summer we have. So it can vary quite a bit.
When you actually get that harvest completed and you start making your wine, how many grapes does it really take to make a bottle of wine, and how long does it take to make that really great wine?
Yeah, I've been asked that question a million times, and I've never sat down and actually done the math to figure out how much it takes to make a bottle. But on a larger scale, it takes roughly, or 1 ton of fruit makes roughly 160 or so gallons of wine. Okay, and in each gallon of wine, there's 5 bottles. So if you want to work backwards from that, you can do that. That's how much it takes. It takes a lot of fruit actually to make wine. So
I can tell you have a lot of passion for what you do, but what is your favorite part about owning a vineyard and making wine in Wisconsin?
What I do really suits me as a person, character-wise, really, really well. I'm not very good at sitting at a desk. That is not me. I need to be up and around and moving, and I'm particularly an outdoor kind of worker. Even when I'm in the winery doing work that I like to do, I'd really rather be outside doing something. So when the weather's nice, I get to be outside, at least for the most part, working. I have to start pruning in February, which isn't so nice because it's still cold, but most of the time I get to be outdoors. And when the weather goes bad here in the winter, December or so, I'm making wine for the most part. Vineyard work is done, and I can kind of ignore the vineyard then, and I get to work inside. So it's kind of like the best of all worlds for a guy like me. So the paperwork part, I just grin and bear it. It's just part of owning a business. You have to do it, and because we produce an alcoholic beverage, there's a lot of regulatory stuff that I have to deal with. But for the most part, it's a really great job for me. For a lot of people, this wouldn't work very good. It's very hard work. It's endless. Sunday is the same as Wednesday for me. I work every day of the week, and all day, every day of the week. And vacations are very, very rare and short usually. So that's part of the deal, I guess. So.
Being a winemaker, what is your favorite wine that you make here on your vineyard?
That's a good question. I'm particularly fond of our dry red called Field 3. It's a wine we don't make every year. We only make it when we get a crop that, where the fruit is really exceptional, which is the result of a good growing season. And it's just a delightful wine. It's very easy to drink, and it's really structured nicely. And for me, it's the best Wisconsin can be in terms of winemaking. And it's a particular favorite of mine. You can only buy it here. It's not a wine that we distribute. Our wholesalers don't get that wine, so if you want some, you got to come get it here. And it's really a lovely wine. But to some extent, I drink kind of all of our wines except for the very sweet ones. I don't drink our dessert wine just because it's not to my taste. But I drink all of our wines to some extent. That's my favorite.
Kind of a lasting thought. What would you really want consumers to know more about the wine industry in Wisconsin and the vineyard industry in Wisconsin?
Well, it's those are kind of two different things, honestly. As it is nationwide, there is grape growing and there's wine producing, and they're kind of different. It's separate in a lot of ways. Not all wineries have an agricultural aspect to them of growing fruit. So I guess the short answer to that is it's very difficult to grow grapes here. It's a lot of hard work. So when consumers go to a winery that has a vineyard associated with it, please appreciate the work they do, because it is not easy growing grapes in this state. Even small vineyards are a challenge just because the weather makes it difficult. Large vineyards are difficult because of that, and because the work multiplies exponentially. But the other thing I would say is there's some really nice wines made in this state. If you give them a chance, it's not a California style. It's the fruit that's grown here it has a different flavor profile, and I guess it takes some learning to get used to it, but you got to try it. You give it a chance, and because there's some really stellar wines made in this state. There's some not so good wines made in this state as well, but that's true everywhere, and that's part of the game. But you gotta, part of the adventure is getting out there and trying them. So. Yeah.
If people wanted more information on Botham Vineyards, or even to come here, where could they go and get that information?
Well, of course, we have a website like most businesses, and it's bothamvineyards.com, and that lists pretty much everything we do to some extent. And I'll be a shameless plugger here. We have a big event here next weekend, is our spring open house and Mother's Day celebration, both days, next Saturday and Sunday. But all that stuff is on our website. You can find out all sorts of interesting and curious things about our business there. So.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Peter. That's Peter Botham for Botham Vineyards here in Barneveld, Wisconsin. And I'm Farm Assistant Jenna Lee for the Thank a Farmer campaign, brought to you by Rural Mutual Insurance and Batzner Pest Control. And remember, if you ate today, thank a farmer.